there will come a time where they will no longer endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts will they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. We will seek gurus, mentors, advisors who will tell us what we want to hear, because we're led astray, we're self-obsessed, we're self-indulgent, we're self-deluded. And so often we will search, we will look for, we will seek out those wise men, those holy ones, those learned officials that have man esteemed credentials, such that they have been ordained to convince you that they have the keys to the universe, that they have what it is you're looking for, answers. And the wild thing about it is they're just selling you what you want to hear. They're just coming to you and speaking to you in a way that allows you to justify not following what you know to be right. Because deep inside you have a compass. You have a divining rod. You have a meter. And this internal clock is always true. It always tells the right time. It always tells you what the true direction is. It always points to true north. But we don't want to hear it. Because again, we're self-indulgent, we're self-obsessed, we're narcissistic. And we want to appeal to our base desires. And so we seek out teachers that will give us some credible reason to ignore what our heart is telling us to do, and instead give us license to follow our animal instincts and to ultimately dive deeper into a life of self-obsession and narcissism and self-indulgence and ultimately corruption of the heart, corruption of the soul. None of this leads to any true answers or any peace or any solace. And there are more than enough gurus out there that would love to sell you some program. And so you'll find a lot of self-help is just speaking to something that convinces you that you should be doing the opposite of what your conscience truly wants you to do. The corruptors of this world, the evildoers of this world, the misleaders and deceivers, the haters, detractors, and psychic vampires and negative influencers that don't show themselves as such. They come in the guise of learned ones. They come in the guise of mentors and advisors, trusted advisors at that. They have tons and tons of credentials and referrals and references, and they have all sorts of certificates, and they have the esteem of man. And so we're lured in, we're pulled in, we're sold a bill of goods that their path is the righteous path. Because again, it's just speaking to your base animal instincts. Because in this life, in this illusion, mirage, in this hallucination, we've been taught from our earliest childhood that to get ahead, we must claw, scratch, cannibalize. We must conquer. We must claim dominion. We must seek power and glory and the esteem of our fellow man. We must be raised up, lauded as the victor glorious at the top of the mountain, and to do whatever it takes to get there. Whatever it takes. There's nothing we won't do. There's no wall we will not smash before us. There's no guardrails that we'll obey. There's no person we'll let stand in our path. We will crush all. Crush your enemies and see them driven before you. This is the stuff of empires. This is the stuff of all conquerors. This is the stuff of all kings. Everybody wants to be a king, right? You're a king, you're a king. And what do kings do? They build empires on the bones, on the remains, on the carcasses of their enemies, which are nothing more than their fellow man, that they crush beneath their feet on their way to the top. And this could be physically, or this could just be metaphorically. But ultimately, we want, what do we want? We want glory, we want power, we want wealth, we want dominion, we want respect. These are things we want, and the overriding doctrine sown by our base animal instincts, by the demons of this world, by Lucifer, by the devil, by Hashatan, by Satan, is to appeal to that animal, that lizard brain within us that is nothing more than seeking to tear apart anything in our way as we climb to the top of that mountain. But it's to do whatever it takes. And above all, take it. There's that line in The Godfather Part 3. I forgot the character, but he says, "What you will not give, I will take." And this is the doctrine of this planet, of this earth. Your parents try to teach you good things. They try to teach you wholesomeness. They try to teach you to be moral, to be ethical, to be good people, to be loving. Hopefully your parents taught you that. Hopefully your grandparents taught you that. There are a lot of people whose parents or their grandparents never taught them this. But if you were fortunate enough to hear this, it doesn't even matter, because you're led astray by the ways of this world. Because once you leave the cradle, once you leave your home and you're forced out onto this world to roam the earth and make your way by the sweat of your brow, you act as though all man has. Once they were cast out, once we were cast out of Eden, allowing ourselves to be misled by the serpent, and then after Cain murders Abel, forced to roam the earth, no longer will the ground yield to him fruit, but instead he will be forced to work the earth by the sweat of his brow. And since then, that is what we have done. We have been led astray because the evil ones, the fallen angels, the demons of this world prey upon us, prey upon our vulnerability, prey upon our base needs, prey upon our animal instincts. And so we allow ourselves to act like the animals do on this planet. The real animals, the ones that tear themselves to pieces in search of food. Because that's all animals are searching for, food and shelter. And we become like the animals, like the wild beasts of this world, tearing each other apart in search of food and shelter. And even that's never enough. And we start to claim dominion, start to store up treasure, start to store up wealth, start to crush our enemies, start to build empires. Again, within our own small circles and our own circles of influence, and then outward even more. Doesn't matter, large or small, we're all the same, searching for power, dominion. And we seek out mentors, teachers, and guides who sing the song, the Pied Pipers who play that tune that we will dance to. And so, as Paul says in Timothy, there will come a day where they will no longer endure sound doctrine. But as to their own lusts, will they heap upon themselves teachers, having itching ears? Because our ears itch. It's never enough. It's never enough. We're never satisfied. We're never grateful. We're never thankful for what we have. We always want more. We're always clawing for more. We're always looking for more. It's just a never-ending hamster wheel, treadmill. We're constantly pushing and pushing and pushing because we think when we finally claim dominion and have power and glory and stand at the top of that mountain, because The teachers gave, the mentors, the advisors, the holy ones, the wise ones, they gave us the instructions, the blueprints on how to get to the top of that mountain. And then we get there and we wonder why. Why do we want more? Why, when we finally get there, if we ever get there, if we don't ever get there, we're just frustrated, brokenhearted, disappointed at our own failings to navigate, to manipulate this illusion such that what do? We wallow in our sorrow, anxiety, frustration, and pain, usually turning to drugs or alcohol or all forms of evil diversions and distractions to escape it, to escape our own disappointment. Or we get to the top of the mountain, and once we're there, we find that there are no answers. We're just at the bottom of another mountain that we have to climb, doomed like Sisyphus to constantly roll the boulder up the hill, to have it roll back down, and then doomed to repeat that cycle over and over and over again. And then there's another set of gurus we seek out. Okay, so let's say we make it out of that cycle, right? That cycle, that bad habit that we repeat over and over and over and over again. Seeking to claim dominion, always finding it's never enough. Let's say we're able to break out of that hamster wheel, that treadmill. Then we seek out another form of teacher. And that's the teacher, that's the guru, that's the advisor that manages to convince us or sell us that we need a crucible, that we need a challenge, that we need a rite of passage. Because again, this is speaking to who we are as humans. We all crave challenge. We all crave adventure. We all crave to climb a mountain and get to the top of it. And so now it becomes about not having material wealth. It no longer becomes about having the esteem of man. It's not any longer about accruing power and dominion. No, it's none of that now. It's not about the material things anymore. No, we've gone beyond the self-help gurus and the magi and the trusted advisors and the mentors that would have us appeal to our base instincts and follow our self-obsessions, right? The teachings of Narcissus. No, now it's just about the crucible, the challenge, so we can go on a journey, an adventure, have a catharsis, a man-made catharsis at that. And we all crave that because we're still searching for meaning. When we finally figure out that the drugs can't give us meaning, that the alcohol, that the cheap highs can't give us meaning, when we figure out that escapism from our disappointment can't give us meaning, when we find out that all of the mountain climbing we've done to find the answers, to find the wealth, to find the material reward, to find the esteem of man, to find the glory and the power. When we find that that's not enough, that it doesn't fulfill us, then it's just the self journey, the journey to bear a crucible and get through it to the other side, to face a daunting challenge, to face a gauntlet, to have a rite of passage. And so we all crave that now. And so again, there are the gurus, the advisors, the teachers who will sell us that manual, that blueprint, that set of instructions. And so we'll go through that. We'll go through those hardships that we put upon ourselves. It could be all kinds of things. It could be the gym. It could be the hikes. It could be the treks. It could be literally climbing a mountain, climbing to the top of Everest. It could be cold plunges, right? It could be marathon running. It could be these triathlons. It could be all sorts of. It could also be deep transcendental. It doesn't just have to be physical. It could be deep transcendental meditations that we go through. So we go through these journeys, again, seeking out teachers that we're heaping onto ourselves because we have itching ears, right? We're seeking, right? The sound doctrine is no longer enough. No, we're having wayward thought. We're being tempted. We're being indulgent. We're being lured. We're being persuaded. We're being influenced. And so we're going down all these, and by the way, these challenges, these gauntlets we put upon ourselves, these crucibles, They do have, they're a lot better than our old self, our old lizard-like brain, clawing, scratching, cannibalizing, seeking material reward, seeking meaning through houses and cars and clothing and luxury and wealth and money and jewelry and all the accoutrements of the luxury lifestyle. As empty and base as that is, of course, a gauntlet, a challenge, a catharsis, physical or mental, psychological, and many times even spiritual. They have a lot more value, right? So they put you through some hardship, and so so again, you'll look for mentors and gurus that will help you along the way get to this place where you push through all barriers, physical, mental, and spiritual, in order to come to some kind of epiphany that you found who you truly are. You found yourself in this crucible. You've gone through a catharsis. You've come out the other side. You've survived it. You've come to some epiphany. And it's still not enough. It's still not. Again, the gurus and the teachers who sell you these programs, these blueprints, these instructions. Yeah, for a moment you're satisfied. For a moment you're happy. For a moment, you're singing a song and doing a dance and how great it is because you had an amazing workout, because you had a phenomenal trek, because you completed a marathon. You've come through the cold plunges. You've done the triathlons. You've gone deep into transcendental meditations, and you've found that point of Zen. You've gone through all of this, and then still at the end of that, what? You're seeking another crucible. You're looking for another journey. You're looking once again for another mountain to climb. This is why these teachers that you heap upon yourself, because your base nature, your lusts, your temptations, your desires are incongruent with your conscience, which all of this time has been telling you, has been pulling you, has been compelling you to walk the path that's true north. It's been telling you the time. It's been calling you to the path of righteousness, but you've ignored it. You've looked for all these other ways, and you've sought out all these other teachers to put you through a program that has still left you seeking more, searching for more. As I've said, it's never enough. It's never enough. There will come a time when sound doctrine will no longer be endured. And your lusts, your temptations, your base desires will have you heaping upon yourself teachers, mentors, and gurus that tell you what you want to hear, that call you away from doing what you know is right, what you know is true, what your conscience has been blaring 24/7, no matter how far you've stuffed it down, no matter how much you've muted it, no matter how much you've silenced it, you can still, and even for those of us who have managed to successfully stuff it so deep, it's rare that you ever hear it, but once in a while it breaks through. Maybe you wake up in a sweat in the middle of the night and you hear it. You hear your conscience screaming out to you, you're not following the right path, you're doing the wrong thing, this isn't right. And then by the time the morning comes and the day comes and you're back on this trail, this set of instructions, this program, the traditions of men that you're following, you forget about it. And once again, you've stuffed it way deep down. But from time to time, it's there, ringing. Your conscience is ringing. But we do everything we can to find those who will give us license to walk away from what we know is true, from what we know is righteous. We will pay all sorts of money for that justification, to turn our backs on what our heart is telling us to truly follow. We will do anything to gain some form of certification, of a seal of some sort, something that deems legitimacy such that it's okay, we deem it okay to walk away from what we know to be true in our soul. There's only one teacher. There's only... And we do everything we can to deny him. Everything we can. Everything we can. Can you imagine what happens when you stop struggling? Can you imagine what happens when you stop fighting? Can you imagine what happens when you stop pushing against the way? When you release it, when you release the burden you've been carrying all this time, when you finally tune into what your conscience has been telling you, what your heart has been telling you, what your soul has been telling you, what Yahusha has been telling you. He's been calling you all this time. His voice has been blaring. He's been knocking, banging, hammering on your door. You don't have to hammer on his, but he's hammering on yours. The minute you knock on his door, the door opens and you are welcome. But can you fathom what it's like to be released from this endless search that you have? From tethering yourself, yoking yourself, chaining yourself, binding yourself to all these false prophets, all of these fake gurus, all of these ephemeral, temporal teachers whose guidance and direction just evaporates. The moment you get to the end of whatever the program is, there's always another level that you have to pay for, that you have to dedicate yourself, that you have to commit yourself to. Always, and the promise is always the answers will come, and it never comes. You imagine what it's like. Can you picture? Can you envision? The moment you release yourself from all of that, you break the chains, and you surrender to what your heart has been crying out for all this time, for Yahuwah's healing, the Most High's love, Yahusha HaMashiach, the Son, the perfect Lamb of the Most High, who sacrificed everything so that we may live. The demons of this world, the false gurus, the fake prophets of this world, the magi, the illusionists, the Luciferians of this world, the corruptors and evildoers, misleaders and deceivers, psychic vampires, negative influencers, haters and detractors, they would have you grovel. They would have you crawl through the muck and the mire and sully your hearts, sully your souls, absolutely have you crawl through all manner of filth, decadence, depravity, and debasement until you have destroyed everything there is that is good within you, so they may live, so they may have joy, so they may have happiness, because misery loves company. You imagine when you give all of this searching, all of this seeking, all of this burden up, and you finally surrender to the Son of the Most High, who gave everything so that you might live. The freedom that you receive, the deep sigh that you're able to breathe because you finally found what you've been looking for. Because the moment you get on your knees and you ask for him to come into your life and fill you with his love, his healing, his joy, his peace, his solace, you are changed forever. Forever. You're no longer searching for the answers. You're no longer seeking the esteem of man. You're no longer looking for power and looking to claim dominion. You're no longer endlessly scratching, clawing, crushing, conquering, You're no longer, climbing to the tops of mountains, wondering why you're at the bottom of another. You're no longer bereft. You're no longer lost. You're no longer unhappy. You're no longer unthankful. You're no longer ungrateful. You're no longer in depression or despair or sorrow. You're no longer hateful. You have peace, solace, love, healing. Everything you've ever searched for that these false prophets have been trying to sell you, you finally find in here, in yourself, where he lives. Yahuwah, all praise be to Yahuwah, the Most High, the Supreme Elohim, he who creates, he who brings into existence, he who breathes life. Can you imagine that? Who could sell you that? Who could make money off that? Who could yoke you to their will, their way, their subjugation through that? That the teacher lives within you. That the truth lives within you. That the way lives within you. That everlasting life lives within you. That the traditions of man, the rules of man, the regulations of man mean nothing. They're for the condemned. They reveal nothing but corruption and penance. While the way, the truth, and the life, the new covenant, the law of Yahushua HaMashiach reveals everlasting life, everlasting peace, everlasting joy. And it's written on your heart. Once you're saved, once you're redeemed, once you're delivered by Yahushua, you have everlasting life. And his living law is written on your heart such that it lives forever, because you live forever. Whilst the laws of man perish on stone and are for the unfaithful, the unbelievers, the unlawful, the living law, the living gospel, the new covenant is written on our hearts and reveals the way, the truth, and the life. All this time, the answers were right here. All this time, in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh was beckoning you to be unleashed within you in all his glory, the set-apart spirit. Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahuwah, the Most High, all the same. The Father, the Son, the set-apart Spirit, all the same, living within you. But all of this time, the voice was there. Can you imagine? Can you imagine all this time? And so, if you want to find peace, solace, joy, everlasting life, happiness, healing, love, redemption, salvation, if you want to find the way, the truth, and the life, take the journey, not out there, not in this illusion, not in this hallucination. There's nothing there for you. You could be in this world, but we're not of this world. You journey inside. Inside. You take a pilgrimage inside. You walk inside, in connection, in prayer, in complete oneness with Yahuwah Yahusha. And all will be revealed. You will receive more than you can ever imagine, such that you will have so much that your cup runneth over, and you will be compelled to share it, to share the good news, as I am doing today, and as I do every day, and as I will every day, because his peace, his solace, his joy, his healing is so great, is so profound, is so immense, is so unimaginable. It is like a torrent. It is like a tsunami. It is like a wave that continues over and it hits you every single day. As you go through this experience, deep in prayer, every day is a catharsis. Every day you are born anew. We are refreshed, revised, reconstructed, reconstrued, renewed, refreshed, reborn once again in his image. So let us walk taller than ever. Let us walk steadfast. Let us march strong and true together as children of Yahuwah, as children of the Most High, arm in arm, because together they cannot divide us, they cannot sow hatred among us, because we are brothers and sisters in Yahushua HaMashiach, and we will march unconquerable, undefeatable, unassailable, undeniable, unstoppable to kingdom come.